We're back in the festive season. It is time to reassemble the Chatterati, all of whom had to take some time off. Some of us were sentenced to self-exile because of our awful predictions coming into the auction. And even though some of us got a few things right, we're hardly the kind to gloat. Right, Dustin? You and me don't need to do that. Nagraj Golapuri is back with a bang after talking to ownership and management post the auction. Adi Iyer has changed his look so that the Shreyas Iyer fan base doesn't recognize him.
I don't have Shreyas in my top 5, so we
don't think he's in the top
you
5?
can come back to me at the end.
Very
You're
interesting.
outrageous. That is
Very interesting. But today's discussion is going to be about who is best suited to lead KKR. Hot topic. And KKR have thrown us a lot of surprises. We have to all admit that none of us saw Venky Iyer's buy at that price coming. So Nagraj with the latest intelligence and Dustin, Adi and myself to try and crack it down. Who is best suited to lead KKR now that all the squads have been decided going into IPL 2025? Nagraj, kick us off.
Yeah, who will? I think they're in a tight spot. Maybe the chatter will give them some ideas. As Dustin was saying, that we might just be a good platform for KKR to listen to and probably give them ideas. Oh, what if they are not made up their mind? It seems that then I don't see they have made up their mind probably. The names doing rounds in other media elsewhere. We have read names like Ajinkya Rahane is in, I think one paper reported that it's 90% he is said to be the captain. There are other contenders like Venky Iyer, who was, as you said, the surprise shock buy of this IPL auction. There are two other guys I feel personally. It's Sunil Narine, who has led their other franchise, KKR, in, I think, Abu Dhabi, not the Abu Dhabi T10, in the ILT20, yeah. And Rinku Singh, at which Tom Moody had, if you remember, when Rinku was retained, Moody was like, Tom was talking about maybe Rinku can be the contender.
I mean, obviously, the first question that comes out with the Rahane choice also is, we know how it unfolded at the auction. It was not like they picked up Rahane at the first time of asking. And therefore, you wonder, has there ever been an IPL captain who's been appointed captain after he was picked up in an accelerated round? I mean, not that it's necessarily a big deal. You always want to put your chips together after everything's done. So how strong is he in comparison to the others? Dustin?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, Rahane is a strong candidate because he's done it before in the IPL, good record with India as well. Also led Mumbai to victory in the 2022 Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, and he's in decent form right now. Scored a couple of 50s in SMAT this time as well. And I think maybe KKR are also just kind of floating this idea out there, just to kind of see what people feel about it, because there might be some people who go like, oh my God, what is this 2015, 2016? How does Rahane even fit into the KKR 11 or 12? But actually, we put out a poll on Cricinfo, and more than 50% of the people currently are saying they like this idea of Rahane as captain of KKR. So it may be something that the fans also don't mind. Maybe it's one Mumbai person just repeatedly voting also. That's possible.
I love how both Nagraj and Dustin are really giving this show a lot of, they're elevating its status by saying perhaps they want to get ideas from us. And Dustin is saying they'll see how this plays out. They float it there and see the response.
Not just from us, from everybody.
We might not be that far off.
Yeah,
they planted this somewhere else.
We are. I would love to believe we are thought influencers. Nothing else. Yes, Adi, please.
So when the retentions came out, whatever I heard was they had two options as captain. One was either buy back Nitish Rana, make him captain, or Rinku Singh's name was heavily floated as one of the ideas. I still think they'll go with probably Rinku as captain because Rahane. I mean, I cannot explain the celebrations or the cheers as the tables when Rahane was bought, but I don't see how a Rahane could fit into a KKR 11 unless you're willing to drop a Raghuvanshi. Will you drop a Raghuvanshi? The only player he can come in place of is Ankush Raghuvanshi. Will you do that and then make Rahane captain and thereby?
Why he can play with Raghuvanshi?
No, he can play opener. Rahane has to play opener. If Rahane plays, Rahane has to open.
I'm with Adi on this, that Rahane is going to bat at best at 3. Rahane as the opener would mean one of De Kock and Narine don't open. Narine was their key success. And whether you choose De Kock or Gurbaz, fine. That's a call you can take. But I don't see how either de Kock or Gurbaz can't move from opening. Narine is only going to open, and Raghuvanshi has to bat top 3. Is what I.
And Venkatesh Iyer, will he move away from 3? I doubt.
That's another good point that Venky. The minute you put, even if you accommodate both of them, worst case Raghuvanshi 4, Venky Iyer, Rinku lower than that.
You can float Rahane somewhere, right? We had Manish Pandey, I think, in the original KKR 12. Rahane can be
Pandey is still a more flexible option as a batter. Just
with 12 players, you can have one specialist captain also who doesn't bat. Yeah. He can just float around somewhere and come in at number 7 and 8 if needed.
That has never happened.
If you fit Rahane,
I like Rahane very much, but is it worth making such a big shift?
Yeah,
in your
that's a big yeah.
It's one thing to do that for for a Virat Kohli or a Surya Kumar Yadav or Rohit Sharma. Let's say if they get a little older in time, can you sort of squeeze them in? But Rahane, with due respect to him, if he bats in the top 3 and makes this team, maybe if you start with Raghuvanshi and he falls out of form, you can consider Rahane.
Or the other way
around. But by naming him captain, I'm trying to analyze the Venky Iyer story here, and I have lost a lot of sleep over it, I promise you. And I actually empathize a little bit with that KKR table. I think we were a bit harsh on them post the auction because it didn't quite look right in the heat of the moment. But I'm quite sure even they would have thought, and with good reason, that Venky Iyer is our safest bet to send into the auction and buy back, comparatively to Rinku Singh, Varun Chakravarti, and even if one of the uncapped, if you would have given yourself an extra slot and said, we'll bring back Harshit or bring back Ramandeep, they would have thought, 8, 10. And Nagraj, I believe even that's the word going around that everybody thought Venky Iyer would be.
Even the player, I mean, it's not, even Venky would have, you ask him, he would say probably 8.
What could be the desire to go? I don't think any of their plans would have had, we can take it up to 24 for Venky Iyer, right? Or 23. They clearly had a lot of plans go out of the window, which happens at auctions. And I'm just thinking the viable candidates for captaincy were still to come, right? Nitish Rana was still to come. They didn't show a great appetite for a lot of other captains that could have been contenders for them. And therefore, I just think, why is Venky Iyer such a significant player for them? He's not really the all-rounder. He's a terrific batter. But if we are going to apply the logic of Punjab definitely wanting Shreyas Iyer as captain, therefore 23 makes sense. Venky Iyer is in my opinion at least, and I think the numbers back it up, he's been a bigger match winner in the IPL than Shreyas Iyer has in the last few years. So if they went the thought process that this is too important a player for us, because not only is he our key match winner in the top 4 or 5, but he's our likely captaincy option. And I didn't realize actually that Venky was the vice captain last year in the absence of Nitish Rana, which he said to JioCinema after he was bought, that he's part of the leadership group. He worked with Chandu Pandit, Shreyas Iyer. So I actually think the status of the player is a lot higher. The only thing here is whether you want to give him the captaincy along with the pressure of the price tag, all of that in one season in a big 3-year cycle, the start of a 3-year cycle. But otherwise, I think Venky Iyer makes the most sense, even though I have said in the past that I wouldn't mind Rinku Singh either. I just can't see.
I think the communication will be an issue. Well, I think with Rinku, the communication could be an issue. And also Rinku as a captain, he feels in really hot spots. You're going to lose out on that. They would have gone into the auction having known that they would not get Shreyas at the price that was being was making the rounds. So if they didn't want, they had someone else in mind, and that has to be probably Venky Iyer, you would think, unless that's what I'm saying. I know that you are not yet bought into, or rather not bought into, you don't fancy Sunil Narine maybe become the captain. I just feel it might end up being between Venky or a safer option could be Narine.
Narine as a franchise player, you want him to just do his thing. He doesn't want to be part of too many team meetings. In fact, that puts him down. So if you're captain and you're going to have to organize the rigmarole of what a captain is expected to do, I think that's almost contrary to Narayan's own nature. That's why I just want Narine the Beast to be unleashed. So I would.
If we're considering Narine, then why not consider Russell as well? Russell has in fact more captaincy.
No, because of the fitness, right? You can't because of the fitness. You won't have Russell playing every match.
But he played most of the games last season and the season before.
But there's always a question, right? Question mark about Russell's
I'm going to invoke Agarkar versus State Union of India in this as a Supreme Court judgment and say captain needs to be on the park.
Maybe having Russell will be a good option, because then when he's not captaining, you can test out a Venky Iyer or whoever. So Adi, I have a question, which is, were you at RR at the same time as Rahane?
2018, yeah.
And so what kind of effect did he have? Because this is the question, right? Is it worth sometime having somebody as captain because their captaincy brings that much to the team? Now I'm putting you on the spot.
And is he the reason you were sacked from RR?
You made the playoffs, right? 2018.
But it was, so Smith,
It was.
because, see, Rahane had to be made captain because Smith was banned.
There's only one way I can see Dustin's point, though I dismissed it a little while back, of being almost a redundant player at times. Actually, given that we had that one spot, it could be, if they are flexible and open to it, Rahane having the experience, good rapport with Chandrakant Pandit, and all of that. If an early wicket falls, let's say you name Rahane every time and you send him early at number 3, but if your batting kick takes off, then you let the big guys come and Rahane, the batter, becomes redundant. And you still have a space. You're playing with either Rahane or Manish Pandey.
It's not too different, Ronak, from what Shreyas Iyer did last season, right? Because you had Raghuvanshi 3 mostly, Venky at 4. Shreyas would only come in when it kind of suited him.
That's a very good
He didn't play
point.
that much of a role.
No, but I don't see Rahane playing Shreyas role. Shreyas was fit for middle order. Rahane is more a top order.
Shreyas is certainly a more capable spin hitter, middle overs player.
Yeah.
Rahane. And Rahane did exceed expectations in the year before last. But again, that I think fizzed out a little, and that was, the CSK effect is also there. So
you will need a peak 2023 version if he has to make the 11.
Okay, let's go around the room and wrap it up. Who is the panel's first choice, or the Chatterati's first choice? Let's go one by one. Adi, your first choice is?
Venkatesh Iyer.
Okay. After saying everything that it won't be a good idea.
It's not my judgment at the end of the day. I'm only saying what is likely to happen.
Yeah, Venky Iyer, long-term choice.
I also think Venky Iyer, but I don't hate the idea of Rahane.
Well, I'd like to believe that your captain should be a sure shot in the 11 or 12, and you should go regardless of their own form. So yeah, I'm going to go with Venky Iyer. You know what? It just occurred to me during the chat that I wouldn't mind seeing Varun Chakravarti lead someday, but we're not even discussing that, so I'm going to let it go. I just think he's like a version of Ashwin, so maybe I liked Ashwin, the captain, for whatever little I saw of him. But we end this show by simply saying that KKR are always successful when you have a Venky at the helm. That wraps up Chatter. Thank you for watching, Venky sir. Thank you.